G'day, super coaches. We're back for Throwdown Thursdays as we head into round 17. The buys are done, but we're not. Joining me, as always, is Damo, super coach. How are we going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I'm almost done. My team's on its last leg. I mean, all through the buys, apart from one of the buy rounds, I had green arrows. So I did what I needed to do during the buys to get up in the rankings a little bit. I'm still got a long way to go, but I've got one last roll of the dice with a few with a few trades I've done over the last few weeks, and hopefully it puts me in a good place to move up the rankings in this second half of the season. But well, it's not really second half anymore; it's the last 8 weeks. But yeah, these last 8 weeks will prove if I've managed my team well enough or not.
Yep, exactly. We've got a fair few things to run through. We'll talk about our summary, our round 16 summary for our teams. Talk about Tom McCarthy. Seems like the elephant in the room for Supercoach nowadays. On the hot seat, who's under the pump? And I'll tell you what, we've got plenty of options after last week. How many injury trades should we have? We'll discuss what we think is necessary. Some must-haves across each line. How do we finalise our sides? I think I actually kept that in from the previous run sheet, but that's all right. That still works. I'll be giving Damo my 5 starting picks, and he has to grade them. And we got some C and VC options, which is more relevant than ever, usually for the last 8 weeks, because that's our little edge to beat our opponents. But as we slowly head towards not much trading, all that, we're still happy to answer some questions. So leave your comments down below and we can discuss what needs to be discussed. And yeah, just any type of questions down below you can chuck in. Damo, how'd you go in round 16 with your side?
I had a little green arrow, so I didn't score great. I was struck with a lot of the low scorers, and my captain only scored 111. So not a great score, but okay for a captain, I guess, especially in a low scoring round. I went up in rankings by about 500 spots. So green arrow, but I probably could have had a better round if I had the captaincy on someone else. I only just scored a touch above 1850.
Yeah, well, it was a tough round to navigate, and really, there's not much we could do with some of the primo scoring. I scored 1904. Could have been worse, could have been better. I had 21 on field this week. Just had a lot of players scoring poorly. So I went down 127 spots to 1,576th. But we're now out of the buy rounds, and hopefully we can start making a charge. Whacked the VC on Nick Dacos, which I was very happy with, 131, one of my better scores for that round in a difficult week. So not planning to make any trades at this stage this week. I don't think. I've got 5 on hand. My eventual game plan is to get Tristan Cherry in a couple of weeks. So I'm happy to go down to 3 to grab Cherry, considering his last 6 weeks of his season is insane. So certainly a guy I want to get my hands on. So that is the overall plan. Sounds like Matt Carroll is back tomorrow night. So with his -8 break even, that really does help my flexibility to use and get Cherry, if that is true, if he is playing. So yeah, that is a summary for our sides. 8 weeks ago. Spud Farmers 25. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hey boys, 4 trades left. Do you think Caldwell to Chera is too sideways?
Very sideways.
That is very sideways. And if you ask me, I reckon Caldwell outscores Chera from here.
There's about 4K difference in their price. Chera's last few weeks have been 102, 95, and 66, as opposed to Caldwell, whose last few weeks have been 102, 111, and 125. Caldwell's the better option to have there. So, yeah, I just hold on to Caldwell, I think.
Yeah, I had a feeling he was going to say this. Cherrett Caldwell. He had it the wrong way around.
Right. I think
I still reckon, yep.
it's still very sideways.
Yeah, I think Caldwell outscores Cherrett, but not by a super amount. Like Cherrett's had one score under 80 this season, which was last week.
In saying that though, they have spoken about Adam Chera moving to halfback, which
Yeah.
doesn't feel great.
No, because he scored terribly there. Well, not terribly, but just went 80s.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good. I did hear that the Dogs are bringing in another defender as well this week. So I heard someone say Dale could move to wing. Don't know if there's many legs.
Well, the Dogs have named their team, so we can have a look at that.
Yeah, I think.
So the Dogs have brought in Jure, Garcia, and Poulter, and Sam Davidson, Karmas, and Harms have been omitted. So that says to me that Dale's named at halfback, and given those ins with Garcia and Poulter, I'm assuming that Dale stays at halfback.
Yeah, and well, Poulter will play wing.
Yeah. Poulter will probably be sub, to be honest.
Oh yeah, he probably will.
Just looking at the interchange.
Yeah. Yeah, depth type of player. Yeah, I don't know if there's many legs in that. Yeah, Spud Farmer's Spud Farmer 25. All honesty, I think you're better off just holding on to the 4. I think 4's usually the magic number when it comes to injury trades, because some years 3 might not be 3 might not be enough. 5 might be too much. So it's like it's a bit of a balancing act. We don't know what's going to happen over the next 8 weeks, but I think 4's pretty good. Kurt Rigg, hope you're going well, mate. I really want to get rid of Bolton. I like Rowan Marshall as a pod. He has a great run home He had a great run home last season. It feels like he could be fit and firing for a strong finish. Well, Bolton were actually up last week.
Yeah, the thing about Bolton is his role hasn't changed. He's just not hitting the scoreboard, and he's giving away a few silly free kicks as well. So if the Dockers can get Bolton on track for this last 8 weeks, and he can impact the scoreboard a bit more, then I think Bolton's okay to hold. But if you can go Bolton to Rowan Marshall in one trade without having to use a second, I don't mind that at all. But that would require, how much would that require in the bank? Quite a bit. So I think it would require too many trades to get to Marshall, because you need pretty much 100K to get there.
Yeah, it depends on how many trades left as well. So Kurt Rigg, if you're still watching, if you could say how many trades left and how many trades you would have to use to make this move, let us know.
And what's your second trade if you have to use a second trade?
Yeah, is it a Henry Hustwaite to a 99K rookie or whatever the case may be? Rosie Perez, hope you're doing well. I've got 6 trades left, full 23 primos. That's good. And the cash to bring in Grundy for TDK. Is that the wrong way round? Is that a good move, or should I look elsewhere?
So wants to trade TDK to Grundy.
I'll bring in Grundy or TDK, yeah. Or should I look elsewhere like Caldwell to a primo mid, or Luke Ryan to Holmes?
We'll talk about Holmes a bit more later, but I think you need Max Holmes for the run home.
Is 623K too much for Holmes?
If you're going Luke Ryan to Max Holmes, Luke Ryan's not too far away in price, so it's only a small jump.
Luke Ryan's on a bit of a heater.
It's on a yeah, but he comes up against Sydney this week, who he doesn't score great against, and only scored 82 against St Kilda on the weekend, so his price is going to come down. So yeah, I I don't mind that Luke Ryan to Max Holmes trade. And TDK to Grundy, I don't mind either.
I think I would do Ryan to Holmes. I think there's more of a points benefit in doing that.
I think you need Max Holmes, but TDK to Grundy is kind of, I don't want to say points chasing because I do think Grundy is going to be the better ruckman over these last 8 weeks, but I don't think you're going to be too far away from what Grundy scores if you don't make that move.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think I'll do Ryan to Holmes. 6 trades, 23 primos. Yeah, you can have a little bit of fun with that. You've got to. I'd go down to 4 to do that if you need to, Rosie. I can do that in one trade. I have 191k. Then I'll do that. I'd do it. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think Bolton can average for the rest of the year? What do you think Marshall can average for the rest of the year?
Well, let me have a look at Bolton at the Dockers run home. He doesn't score well historically against the Swans or Hawthorn, which is the next 2 games. Does okay against Collingwood. West Coast, Carlton, Port Adelaide, he should do okay in. Brisbane's the difficult one. Western Bulldogs is a difficult one. So he's probably going to stick to his 85 average on the run home.
Yeah, and that's with potentially Hayden Young coming back in.
I think Hayden Young helps him, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
But only because I think it gives Bolton more time to hit the scoreboard.
Okay, so you think more forward time?
I think Bolton forward is not as detrimental as people think. I think his scores where earlier in the season he was going 80 plus, 85 plus, 85 to 100 most weeks, was when he was able to put a couple of goals on the board. So I think the midfield time that he's been getting a lot more lately has contributed to his lower scores because he hasn't been able to hit the scoreboard and is such a one-touch player. He doesn't get involved in multiple chains.
Yeah, exactly. That's from what I've seen. Bit of an almost player. Marshall's run for ruckman is pretty good. Hawthorn's a neutral matchup. Grundy's they classify as hard, but his last 3, Richmond, Essendon, and GWS, is where he should do his damage. I think Marshall can do 105 for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be a 20 point per week gain in most scenarios.
Yeah.
There's
it might not pay off straight away, but in future, I think it'll really break open.
There is Marshall's got Meek, then Grundy, Geelong, then Gawn, then Cherry, then Nank. So his run home isn't fantastic. So yeah, 105 probably with some spike games in there, but it's going to be a tough run to be honest for St Kilda ruckman.
Yeah, but he should be fine. Thanks, lads. Cheers, fellas. No worries. XQRHD, not sure whether to trade Sheasel to Sam Darcy or fix my bench DPP and trade Cooper Simpson to a 99k defender mid. Need 35 to 40k for Gawn upgrade in 2 weeks. So yeah, he has. So he's one that's traded Gawn for cash to try to get him back. Which if you did, I would recommend getting Gawn back. Do we think Sheasel's fine, or are you a bit concerned?
I think he will. I think he will be an interesting one to watch this week. But Bulldogs aren't a great midfield matchup, and he's got that shoulder concern. So I can see him being very quiet in the forward line this week, especially. But I don't know about the run home. it's difficult because Sheasel has proven that he can score well in multiple positions this season. It just has been inconsistent as per the ceiling. So I'm not sure. I think you hold Sheasel, to be honest, but you do need Sam Darcy for the run home, I feel.
Yeah, or I think Sheasel, Sam Darcy. I think, maybe Cooper Simpson.
He says Cooper Simpson to a def mid 99k, which I don't think there's many out there.
Harry Charleston from the Blues.
Yeah, pretty much the only one. Unless he doesn't have Tom McCarthy, because he needs Tom McCarthy. I'm assuming he has Tom McCarthy.
I'm going to assume most have Tom McCarthy by now, but it's not a problem if you're getting him in this week. Just make sure you get him.
Tom McCarthy is in 47% of teams, so I think he's in most that we are speaking to.
Yep. I'd probably do Cooper Simpson to a 99k guy. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's, open up that flexibility on your bench.
And there's a couple that he can go to just in the forward line as well.
Yeah.
Archer May's on the bubble. If he wants cash for whatever reason.
Ewan McKinlay, if you want to. Oh, no, sorry, he needs a. Well, yeah, Ewan McKinlay, for whatever reason, you need a mid forward DPP guy as well. How big do we think Jack Martin goes against the Tigers? I think anyone breathing can go well against them, unfortunately. I think Martin can do 80.
Just having a look. I think he'll go 90.
Go 90?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Sorry, I got a Twitter notification. 85 to 90. Richmond leak everywhere. Freo also have bad mid matchups, and Marshall's third easiest ruck matchup going off DFS.
I've seen this around, but and maybe I'm in denial, but they come up against some teams that they've already played who have given up massive scores to Fremantle already.
Who Fremantle do?
Yeah, so hang on, I'm just looking at the run.
And Freo are better now.
They come up against the Swans, who they've already played. Swans gave up some pretty good midfield points last time they played. Then they've got the Hawks, who they haven't played yet, but the Hawks can go one way or the other. Then they come up against Collingwood, who are much of a muchness. Brayshaw scored 154 against them last time. I'm only going off Brayshaw because he's who I own. I don't know who anyone else scored. Then they've got Port on the run home. They've got Carlton on the run home. Both Port Adelaide gave up points to them last time. I think it's just mainly Brisbane and the Bulldogs in the final 2 weeks where people are in their league finals will be the tough ones, to be honest.
Yep. I just didn't have Gawn to start with. Cherry Marshall since round 8. That's been a fine pairing. As long as you got one of Cherry or Gawn, which I think most people are in that scenario, then that's, if you can get Gawn, I'd do it. Darcy not owned, going to be tough. Yeah, I'll watch the game tonight. Close my eyes a little bit, but open at the same time because I'll VC Bont. So, we'll see how we go. I think it's when Darcy opens up. People getting him in last week. Sydney were a tough matchup where North, he is just going to feast. SC Plus is saying to start Neil Erasmus over Warner. With the state of Chad's kicking and the fact it's meant to be pouring rain on a horrible pitch, I'm tempted. No.
Can I just say though, Neil Erasmus, if we talk in football terms for a moment, last week he was awesome against the Saints.
He
Like
was.
from a football perspective, he was great. And I think that might be the game that proves to Fremantle they need to give him a spot in their 23.
Well, I think he's
Most
already
weeks.
cemented it, really.
I think so, but they've got guys coming back, and I just hope he's not the one that makes way.
Who do you think it would be? Dudley?
I think Dudley's in. I think Dudley's ahead of. I think Dudley is playing in Walter's position.
Yeah.
I think Banfield might be in trouble because Walker's coming back. I don't know who comes out for O'Meara, and I don't know who comes out for Young.
Well,
That's the only problem.
O'Meara re-aggravated it, didn't he?
It was only soreness. It was only tightness. They've cleared him for this week.
Okay. I'd still play Chad Warner.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, the Dockers have been getting beaten up around clearance over the last few weeks, which is very odd for them. So, yeah, big watch on how they fix that too.
And Warner's CBAs went back up to 56%, I believe. They were slightly dropping. I think they're using row bottom less in the middle now.
Yeah.
Jason, would you trade out Angus Clark and Zach Johnson to get a 23rd premium? Would leave me with only 2 trades for the run home. I think I would do. Well, how much money have you got in the bank? Would you do that?
So with all the injuries that Essendon have acquired over the last 2 weeks and then are still recovering from, I think Clark and Johnson still have a bit of meat on the bone to gain a bit more cash. So moving them now, you're probably starving yourself of a proper premium rather than just an upgrade. So I think if you could hold on to them for a couple more weeks, you'll be able to get someone a bit better. And then going down to 2 trades means you only have one trade every 3 weeks, which is probably far easier to manage.
Yep. Oh, you know how we were talking about Jack Martin?
He's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, he's done his calf.
I mean, I shouldn't laugh.
What? Or so this is the old chat, but it might actually just be. I need to see some clarification on this because this might be Chat GPT that has just created it. I don't know. We'll hear more about it. I think I've just been trolled. That would have been very, very interesting. Yeah, I'd probably just wait a couple of weeks then do it. Rosie Perez, Luke Ryan to Holmes, or save cash and go Ash or Clark?
Ooh, Holmes.
Yeah, I'd go Holmes. I think Ash looks good for this
any
week.
avenue that you can get to Holmes, get Holmes.
Yeah, I think I'd do Max Holmes. Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's talk about Tom McCarthy for a sec. So he is a guy that ideally is your 24th guy off your bench that you use to cover 1 week or 2 week injuries for the remaining season.
If he's scoring 100 plus every single week, I want him on field.
Well, yeah, like I would probably recommend looping him. Like I'm looping him this week with Sheasel just to see how Sheasel
I've seen a
goes
lot of
tonight.
people doing that. I've seen a lot of people doing that. Makes a lot of sense. But yeah, if McCarthy's going to go 90 plus most weeks, I think you want him in a position where you can have him on field or at least have his score. So yeah, 20 on bench for a loop is smart, but if you can't, I think on field is perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's saving a lot of people's teams that might not have been able to complete their team. That's just close enough to a free premium right there. So that's helped a lot of coaches out. That we're not going to get the Tom McCarthys every year, but I tell you what, the lack of second wave rookies has costed us a fair bit of ability to upgrade throughout the season. So he has certainly helped. So do you think he can do 90, 95 for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I do. I think he's. I think West Coast have finally found a general for their defense.
Yeah. And they just got to keep going through him. Like he's just a steroids version of Ryan Marich from what it feels like.
And the guy can actually defend too, so he gets points for doing the little things as well as the disposals. So all good for Tom McCarthy. And even if he only scores 58 this week, he still goes up by 100k plus. So if you don't get him this week, he's going to be 200k plus next round.
Yeah. So I'm sure most of us has got him now, but just in case you need another reminder, make sure you grab him. How many, we've discussed it a little bit, how many injury trades would we recommend on having for the rest of the season?
My general rule of thumb is how many weeks left divided by 2. So ideally 4.
Yeah, 4's usually the perfect medium that I find in most seasons.
I mean, I don't have that. I've gone against my own rule, but that's for reasons beyond my control. But ideally, you have 4.
Yeah. And I think 3 is fine, and I think 5 is fine as well. And especially if you're going to persist with 5 trades for the rest of the season, you only just need to get through that first 3-week block, and then you can start having a little bit of fun. You can use 2 trades for maybe a guy that could potentially be a differential who's got a really nice round 20 to 24 rest of season run.
I've got a question to throw back at you. At what point, so let's say you do have trades left and you get to say a point where you think you're in an okay position to start using them. What round is that point where you can start using those trades?
Well, it depends on how many.
So for example, you don't want to end the season, get to last round and have 5 trades and you're going to use 2.
Yeah. No, you don't. If possible, I like having a trade in that last round, so you can go a player with a really bad matchup or is looking to get tagged that week to a really favorable matchup. So that might be, I don't know, for example, trade into Tom Stewart for round 24 against Richmond if he's named, because he could just get managed. That's the way Geelong roll. But Sydney have got West Coast. So again, you could have a look at Callum Mills if you don't have him, just for that round 24 matchup, or Chad Warner, whatever the case may be. So like I don't know, Tristan Cherry's got Riley O'Brien, but you'd probably just rather keep Cherry regardless of who he's up against. So there's a few different things that you can do. So I like having a trade in round 24. If you've got 4, I'd probably wait till if we don't get any carnage between rounds 17 to 20, which we don't know, we might not. Then you can start having a bit of fun. So yeah, I like having that trade in round 24. Probably wouldn't bother with anything more really. So I think, yeah, if you're on 4 or 3, well, certainly 3, you just hold for that next month, 5 weeks, if possible.
Yeah.
And then you can get as well, if we can have a good run between round 17 to 20, we can actually start using trades to move off that 1 week suspension or that 1 week concussion with players that we aren't, if it happened to Bontempelli, we'd probably just rather hold Bontempelli. But if, let's say it's, I don't know, who's a good example? Bailey Dale, 1 week calf injury, which I don't think really exists, but does his calf out for 1 week. We don't know if he's going to be back the following week, sort of thing. We can just use our 4 trades to our advantage there. So, yeah. And I think the positive as well, having injury trades, is that, we can pick and choose what feels right, where some people would strictly be for, actual injuries out for the season type thing. So, yeah, that's what I would suggest. Let's go through some. We'll go through a couple more questions. Spud Farmer 25, thoughts on Sean Darcy at 360k. The floor is yours, Damo.
No.
He's
only scored above 76 twice for the season, and he's the first one to go out if the matchup doesn't suit.
He's interesting for 2026, that's for sure.
No, he's not.
No?
No.
Is that Cope?
Pardon?
Is that Cope?
No, I just don't think he's worth talking about.
Okay, fair enough. Ralphie, hi guys. Neil or Sheasel or Chera to Holmes in one trade?
Neil.
I think Neil as well. Do you suspect all 3 to score similar?
I think Chera and Sheasel might do a little better, but Port Adelaide's already hinted that they will tag him this week.
Well, they got 15 taggers, yeah.
Carlton will probably send someone to him. The Bulldogs is not a good matchup. Gold Coast is probably the one good matchup he has on the run so far. Collingwood is another one. Sydney will send James Jordan to him. Fremantle will send someone to him. And Hawthorn will probably run someone with him as well, like a Nash. So he's got some taggers on the run home.
Yeah, and it hasn't quite turned out to be the pick we would have liked to start the year, that's for sure. Certainly had a good run, but yeah, it's a tough run home.
There's back when I was at Jock Reynolds, we had a guy there, and his name was Barron, and he always used the term the cliff. He found that he found that players would always reach a point where they are where they fall off the cliff, and sometimes the cliff is only a small drop, and sometimes the cliff is a big drop. I think Lachie Neale is reaching his cliff. I think he's gone from a 115 guy to a 105, and then next year he might even drop further.
Who do you think's the next cliff guy? Who are you worried about?
The next cliff?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe Bont?
Bont maybe, yeah.
Like instead of
Zorko?
125 to 128, it's like 119.
Zorko,
yeah.
In fact, Zorko might already be there. Who else?
Have you got the balls to say Gorn?
I was thinking about it, but I don't think so. I think he's got... It depends what they do with that ruck position in Melbourne in the off-season, because I know they've been looking for an heir apparent. So it depends what they do there and if they play them together.
Kalani White.
I don't think he'll play straight away.
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Zorko might already be there, but I think he's a candidate. Yeah, I think I don't think it's right to use the word cliff for Tom Green because he's young. But I think if Callahan can stay fit and can go another step again, then Green and Callahan might steal points off each other.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Maybe Jack McRae as well.
I think the cliff. I think he's experiencing some of his cliff at the moment. To be honest, yeah. So yeah, the cliff is coming, and sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, exactly. We sort of find out in a mean way with the cliff.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about some must-haves across each line. So, yeah, so we'll start with the forward line. We'll spice it up. Who are we classifying as a must? Well, do you like the term must-have, first of all?
I don't know. I don't love the term, but I think it's a good one. But I think you use it in this scenario. I think, and when we say must have, we're not saying you need all of these players. You need the majority of these players.
Yeah, so maybe more top of their line for the run home. I think I like that instead. Who would you classify and expect to be top of the forward line for the remainder of the season?
Sam Darcy, especially with the run the Bulldogs have at Marvel Stadium, I think he's going to be a must-have for the run home. But he'll be one where you have to take the good with the bad because there'll be some weeks where he goes 75 and other weeks where he goes 175. But I think on average, his total points over the last 8 weeks will be good enough to make him a must-have.
And also, like, because of the addition of flex, we can have those scores. A score drop out, but that does benefit the super high ceiling guys because that does give us a layer of coverage for if Sean Darcy puts in a 60 or whatever the case may be. So Sean Darcy's a fantastic pick.
Sam
Luke Jack,
Darcy.
who?
You said Sean. It's Sam.
My bad. Sam Darcy. I'll
So many
refer to
Darcys.
Sean the Shrek. I think, well, Luke Jackson, you can put him in the forward line as well, but he is like the top of the line forward option for 2025. So,
Bailey Smith.
Yeah, Bailey Smith. I can't believe I forgot about that beautiful bastard. Yeah, Bailey Smith, which I presume we've all got. Just the role is unbelievable. Yeah, the role is unbelievable. You see him when you watch Geelong games. You think there's about three of him. He's just always around looking to get the ball, which is what makes him so good. His transition running is what really solidifies him as a top liner. They're really the main three I would suggest.
Yeah, I think that's right. The forward line's so difficult because there's only a handful of standouts.
Yeah, and then the rest, there's like 15 guys that can average between 85 to 95.
Yeah.
Ruck line, well, Gawn and Cherry.
You need at least one of those guys.
Yeah, you don't need both, but you just need one. Extremely helpful for captaincy. I wouldn't say Luke Jackson you can throw in there as well. He's just a top liner, ruck or forward. I mean, there's obviously Brody Grundy as well. Who, tell you what, if you've got Gawn, Grundy, Cherry, and then you got Jackson in the forward line, yeah, you're in such a good position.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brody Grundy's run's insane. He was about 550K about 6 weeks ago. just absolutely insane. The resurgence of the great man. Midfield, I mean, you've got Bont and Butters for sure.
Butters, Dacos.
Yeah, I think Dacos is in there as well. I think he's starting to find his form again.
What about Errol Goulden? Is Errol Goulden someone that people need? I mean, he's only played 2 games, 580k, might be a bit difficult to get to, but do you reckon he's a must-have? Because he looks every bit what Sydney have been missing over the last few months.
Yeah, I don't think I can put him in the same category as those guys. I'm happy to put him in 1B.
Yeah.
Like just with the likes of potentially Brayshaw, Dawson, that type of range.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think he's a really strong option, and I think he's a guy you look to target if you're inside that top 200 in SuperCoach. I'd say the top 200 have got that's probably the range now. And at this point in the season, when you can win SuperCoach, I'd probably have a look at getting Errol Goulden, because barely anyone's going to be able to grab him. But if you've held on to, if you've got a couple of extra trades than most, you can find a good avenue to get to him. I think Errol Goulden is great, and I think there's probably every chance he stays under 20% ownership inside the top 1%.
Makes sense.
And I don't really... The midfield's a tricky one because there's a lot of good options, but in terms of top liners, it's certainly capped a bit just due to the fact of the tags that come so frequently.
And the midfield's opened up a bit, especially with the amount of DPPs that have come through that are top in that are that are top in their other positions. That like, if we move to defense, if you don't mind, like Holmes, Rosie, those two are both midfield eligible, and they're probably must-haves for the run home in defense, or among the must-haves to have in defense. But Rosie started the year as a midfielder, and Holmes started the year as a defender. But Holmes could end up on average one of the top midfielders to end the season.
Spot on. Sorry, had to fart.
Wow.
Probably another one I'd throw into the midfield, I reckon, that is still underrated as a pick is Ed Richards. Would you happily put him in 1B, or do you reckon he's there with Bont, Butters, Dacos?
I think he's more of a 1B selection, but I think the Dogs' run at Marvel Stadium makes him puts him, ahead of some other guys in that same category.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Dogs' midfield is absolutely insane. In defense, I mean, Max Holmes for me is the real standout guy. Connor Rosie still at that price can just score amazingly. Wanganeen Miller, I think, is another standout.
Or Jack Sinclair.
Yeah, so I'd put in. So I reckon top of their line, I'd put Wanganeen Miller and Holmes, and then you probably Sinclair and Rosie next. And I think I would throw in Lockie Whitfield in there as well.
Okay.
Maybe Jordan Clark.
I reckon Jordan Clark is going to run into some tags on this in these last few weeks. He's been getting the better of James Jordan the last 2 times they met, though. So I think the James Jordan tag might go the way of the dodo for him, but I'm not entirely sure. Like he scores well against pretty much most matchups he comes up against on the run home. Yeah, maybe Jordan Clark. Yeah, I think I've come around. Maybe Jordan Clark is a must-have, but he does have a couple of weeks where there's possible tags.
Yep, agree. hopefully that helps, guys. We got a lot of questions whilst we were going through that, mainly from the lads down at Centre Bounce. So we got my boy Joe here. Love you, fellas. It's hard for me to watch these streams because of work, but thankfully I've gotten an early lunch covering for a sick colleague. How you doing? Hope you're doing well, Joe. And we love the new rebrand. What do we think of the Centre Bounce rebrand? I quite like it.
I'm not going to lie. This is the first time I'm seeing it. I'm having a good look now.
Yeah. You've got to tune in. Doing well, Joe. Hope you're doing well. Love the podcast on Monday. Spud Farmer, Bolton or Jezza Cameron, who will score more on the way home? I think Cameron. Do you reckon Jeremy Cameron or Bolton to score more?
Cameron. Yeah, Cameron.
Yeah, I'd go Jez just with that
run. Just with Geelong's run home.
Yeah. Joe must have, is anyone not in my team? You're having a good season, man. You're having a good season. Rosie Perez, top 5. So I would say it's, top. I think we've gone must-haves like a top 3 or 4 of the top of their line. Roughly.
Yeah.
How do I be cool like you guys? Oh, we're not cool. Damo's cool.
No, I'm not.
No. I need to take some tips off you, Big J. That's for sure. Tom Stewart is great as price too. Yeah, he's fantastic.
504K.
I think he's back. I think he's back, Tom Stewart. Maybe not for. We don't know how long for. I think I'll be back to same old Tom Stewart next season, but that's all right. Zero trades left riding the wave. Zero trades is wild. Wishing you the best of luck with no carnage.
I mean, I've seen I know there's people out there with zero trades. And there's an example there, but I know there are people out there where the season has just not panned out the way they want them to. They're in a position where the end of the season just kind of there's not much that they can do from here. So yeah, they've used all their trades and just letting it all wash over them now. And hopefully the team stands up and it can do some things on the run home.
I don't know about you, Damo, but I find being on zero trades very relaxing.
Oh yeah, because there's nothing that you can do. I've actually got a story from a few years ago. I went on zero trades with about 6 weeks left. Every week that I used a trade in that season, I went down in rank. Every week that I just used my loops and my captaincy option, I went up. In the last 6 weeks of the season, I had no trades left, so it was all loops and captaincies. And I went up about 7K places and finished in the top 5K without any trades and a donut on field. So maybe using your trades is overrated. Maybe having trades is overrated.
Yeah, it might be. And you know what? I respect it. Like, yeah, when I've been on zero for the last couple of weeks of the season, it's very chill. It's just use your loops, can't do anything about it, and you just, whatever. Jezza, why aren't you working? Love Tom Stewart. Hate that I brought him in and out of my side over 2 weeks due to the injury. Oh yeah, he very frustrating starting pick. He got injured in round 1, then. What was the story? No, he get injured. I think he got injured round 1, and then round 2 he re-aggravated it early in the game, and then he missed a few weeks, and then the Carlton game he got injured again.
Let me have a look. So I got injured round 2, missed round 3, came back in round 4, aggravated something, so missed a week, then came back in round 6 and 7, aggravated against Carlton again, and then missed 4, and then missed a month. and now he's been back. So yeah.
Yeah, I swear every year it's just similar stuff with Tom Stewart. Early in the season, he's just a bit of a burn man as a starting pick.
He's a buy target for sure.
Yep. Big J's on lunch break. Same. Ha ha ha. What does Darcy averaged ROS?
I'm assuming Sam Darcy. We'll speak to both. Sean Darcy probably around 80. Sam Darcy maybe 105.
Yeah. Sounds about right. This should be called the lunchtime Thursday stream. Nah, I'll Throwdown Thursday. It's iconic. Like, we've trademarked it already, so no one else can use it.
Throwdown Thursday TM.
People skimping out on doing their work stream. Yeah, we're here to help the people that are just really struggling at work.
End of financial year. No one's working at the moment anyway.
Yeah, exactly. There's like 5 players I wish I had in my team. I wish I had. Yeah, same here. 0 means no stress and not having to worry too much about the game. 100% agree, Steve-O. It's great. Yeah. And there's too much stress in life, so sometimes you just need to eliminate a certain part of your stress. And for a lot of us in SuperCoach, it is bloody trades. So, yeah, I get it. Is my Wi-Fi struggling? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. You seem to be fine on my end.
Okay. Yeah, I've just gotten a little connection is unstable thing. That's all right. Causa, the ladies' man. I'm looking at VC Wits into Smith this week, I feel. Considering Sheasel to Ash this week, trying to get into 1K by the end of the season. Wits is a very, very cheeky VC.
I like it though.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I think that's the safest 125 I've ever seen.
And Sheasel to Ash. Don't mind it, especially with Lockie Whitfield out. But
Ash will go nuts this week.
Oh yeah, Ash has got a really good run to end the season. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool, mate. Top 1K is a very good season, so I hope you get there, Causa. Butler out will hurt a few. It'll hurt the people that haven't finished their team.
The Butler injury means I don't have a forward bench again.
I'm hoping he comes back. No guarantee, but hopefully he does. I mean, if you need forward cover, if you got a few trades up your sleeve, Archer May's a guy you can look at if you can't rely on Butler.
They've said Will Day is a chance to return in round 20, or at least return to the VFL in round 20. So that might only give Butler one week back if he does return straight away.
Yeah. Well, it might make him more of a sub chance, I feel. I don't know if he's any guarantee to return.
Does Will Day returning make Dylan more or less of a value option this week? Because I know there's some people looking at him.
I don't think it affects Dylan more that much.
Okay.
I think he'll still get his. If anything, it will be better in clearances, so more chance up forward quickly.
Excellent.
Because I know you're looking at him.
Starting picks. Have you got your 5 to swing to me?
I will. I've got 2. I'll finalize my other 3. If you can answer these questions down below, and I'll have a look. Can you the Causa one here?
Traded in Wits for Gawn 2 weeks ago when I got the 163 against Madden and got Jackson from Hewitt when he got the 186 from Vicentini. Yeah, excellent. Great trades. And then Jez has said he accidentally went Kennedy over Darcy 2 weeks ago, and it killed his last trades due to forcing Darcy back in. Had to trade Carroll and the 2 Essendon boys. Should have culled Bolton instead. Shit happens. It certainly does. I think Bolton might come back and score a little better in the run home, especially with Hayden Young only a couple of weeks away. I think that helps him. But yeah, Bolton's role hasn't changed. He's just not hitting the scoreboard. So ideally, Bolton starts to reward those who held him from here on.
Just need to get one more and I'm good to roll.
Start with your 4. Give me your 4.
All right. No, I found my 5th. That's cool. All right.
Hang on, I'm just bringing up the scale first.
So the scale was actually, I might give you 6 if that's all right.
You can give me 6. So 1 is a catastrophe, 2 is a fail, 3, I'll take it, 4, great success, and then 5, unbelievable.
Yeah. Number 1, Lockie Neal.
2.
I think he's a definite 2.
He hasn't been a catastrophe because he's still averaging 100 plus, but 2 because he's now more than 100k less than his starting price and it looks like he's on the decline.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty firm 2. Like, I don't think it's a catastrophe, but you started him at 645. And I think most people that have him are looking to move him out. And when you start a player at 645k, you're looking to have him for the whole season. So I think he's a pretty firm 2.
Yeah.
Jack Sinclair. He started at 590k.
I haven't owned him, and I don't have a way to get him in. So this is purely off observing, and if I feel like I've been missing out, I think he's a 3.
I would agree with that. Yep.
I think I went Jordan Clark over Jack Sinclair at slightly cheaper, and I think I've gotten pretty much the same out of Jordan Clark. So 3, I'll take it. He hasn't been a game changer or anything, so I would say he's a 3. You'll take it.
Well, I think he's probably averaged the same as what he did at his price. So, and that's fine to have. He hasn't been a boom, hasn't been a bust. He did become attainable for a lot of coaches at that 529k price tag, heading into the Blues game, and then he went absolutely nuts for 6 weeks. So yeah, he's had some ups and downs, but I'd give it a 3. I think he's been pretty fair as a starting pick.
Yeah.
The next couple are a bit of pods here. Liam Baker.
I reckon if you started him, big success. 4.
Giving him a 4?
I'm giving him a 4.
I like that.
There were lots that were looking at starting him and then got scared by his preseason, but he's just quietly the 7th ranked forward this year. So I think he's having a pretty good season.
Yeah. And well, the thing is, he started off pretty slow and then has really picked it up. So there's a bit of roller coaster about him. I felt like a lot of coaches would have moved off after round 6 against Essendon when he was 415k.
Yeah, but if you had held him after round 6, you would have been rewarded with a great run.
Yeah, I'd give him, I think, a 3 still.
I would call it okay. So as a starting pick,
yeah,
I still think he's a 4. I still think he's a 4. You got him for sub 450k. You started him for sub 450k, and he only went and he dropped 28,000 before he started his run. So I don't think it's a massive problem.
Yeah, I get that. I think as an upgrade target, I'd give him a 4, but I'm happy to give him a 3. He's had a great year, and he's probably definitely their best player.
Behind Tom McCarthy.
Yeah. Number 4, Luke Davies-Uniacke.
2.
Yeah, he's been a 2. He's been worse than last year. You know, last year how he started off really slow and then really picked it up.
I remember end of last year, everyone was talking about, I need Davies-Uniacke in my starting team. And then we saw and then I think he was only in 4 or 5% to start the year. No one, obviously, people knew a lot more than they were letting on in the off season, because I thought he was going to be a great pick this year. So I've been disappointed by him. Not a catastrophe, but definitely a fail.
Yeah, and especially more the fact you went against the grain to go with a Davies-Uniacke.
Do you know he's only had 2 scores above 108 for the season?
That's disgraceful for what he's capable of. Especially with George Wardlaw not playing many games this year as well.
Sure.
Cheezel moving out of the midfield on some occasions too. He's just had a bit of a disappointing season, and North Melbourne have got him locked up for a little while. So, yeah, I'm giving that a 2. Number 5 is Tom De Koning.
I think we've already had Tom De Koning, to be honest. I think you've already done that.
Oh, have we? Oh, shit.
All right. I think we rated it a 3 or a 4, depending on when you start on what you did with him.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Did we have? No, I actually think the last 2. I was going to say Harry Perryman. I think we had him as well. So
we've already had Perryman as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll throw one back at you then.
All right. Perfect.
Jason Horne-Francis.
That's a good one. That is a bloody good one. What a roller coaster he's been. As a starting pick, I would give him a 3 because he's had his ups and downs. He's had some monster scores. I think he's a top 6 forward, you would hope, for the rest of the season. Yeah, hopefully. I'd give him a 3. I don't think he's been the boom that a lot of us thought during the season, the home run that we thought he would be, but he hasn't been a fail. So I'd give him a 3.
Yeah, I think that's about right. In saying that though, I'm looking at his scoring. He relies on his ceiling to get his average up. He's only had, if I look, he's had some very poor scores this year.
He has.
He almost scores like a key forward.
Just about, doesn't he? Especially that first 3 weeks of the season. Then he started to roll before his hamstring.
Yeah.
And then when he came back, went boom against Melbourne, Sydney 88, that's okay. Right.
Well, against Sydney, I think he was on donuts to begin that game. So 88 3/4 is okay. I mean, you want better over a full game, but 88 3/4 is okay if you look at the context. And then 49 against Carlton, he was subbed out and was only on 67% game time before he got subbed out anyway. So,
for Horne-Francis owners, you'd really hope from this point onwards he can start rolling. 9-day break.
Yeah,
you would hope.
Sure.
All right, those are our 5. I'll be more prepared next time, so I do apologise about that. Is there anything that we're particularly missing? Just some V, C, and C, and on the hot seat.
Almost time to wrap up. So yeah, VC and hot seat.
Yep. So who is on the hot seat for you this week, Damo? We've got a plethora of options.
I'm going to go. Oh, it seems harsh, but I'm going to go Callum Mills.
Yeah, that's fair.
He was on. I think he was above 50 points at halftime against the Bulldogs, and then only managed a couple of points for the rest of the game. And if we're looking at totals, so I hate telling guys to lift against the Dockers, but I hope Mills can turn up and the Dockers can win. Hopefully Mills turns up because the Dockers have the ball in their forward line too much.
Yeah, and they just keep hammering the scoreboard, but just don't deliver, and they win. And Mills gets all the kickouts. For me, the previous time we did this, I didn't have many options. Now I've got heaps. I think we're gonna go with Jack Sinclair. He could do with a kick up the bottom.
Okay.
I think he needs a fire up. Needs to assert his dominance again as a duo with Wanganeen Miller instead of just Wanganeen Miller. I'm going to need to see that 110 potential this week against the Hawks. Hawks won't tag him. We don't tag halfbackers usually. So I think he needs a cook big time this week.
Makes sense. Who steps into the Josh Weddle position for the Hawks?
That is so tough because he's been so good for us over the past couple of months. Very, very, very bad loss. I think we're going to see that run and dash more out of CJ. So I expect CJ, because we need someone like Weddle with that speed and carry to continue the system. So I would expect CJ is going to have a bit more ball in his hands over the next 6 weeks. So I don't think we'll be seeing him as sub anytime soon. Bit more of Amon as well, because he's that link-up play. So for any Carl Amon owners, I think that's good for him.
We'll answer the 2 questions in the chat and then get to our captains, and then we'll wrap up.
Yep. Well, we've got a fair few.
So we've got, what do you think Gideon Coleman will average this season? Bon asked that twice, so clearly he wants that answered. And then Rosie
I would say
asking,
80.
I want to see him return first.
Yeah, he's probably coming through the VFL first.
In a perfect world, 80.
I think 80, and people might be disappointed with that answer, but it's like there's so many guys in that role now compared to the 2023 grand final when Coleman was just the main guy. So I would say, because you got Wilmot, you got Fletcher, you got Zorko, you got Answorth. So I would think 80 is probably just about the best case scenario. That's probably factoring low tog managing.
Yeah.
So I'd say 80. And then Rosie Perez, should I start Mills over Sheasel, Ryan, or McCarthy?
So I think you want Ryan and McCarthy on field, and then I think you want to loop Sheasel and Mills if you can.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Should we get through some of these other questions?
Is there more?
Yeah, there was a few more above. Where were we up to? Causa. I traded in Wits for Gorn 2 weeks ago.
We went through that. We saw that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you did those two. Baker has been average. Early season was poor, I think. Yeah. He's been fine. He's had, I believe he's got forward back DPP, which helps too.
Mid, I think.
Forward mid, yeah.
I think he was a forward mid to start the season.
Oh, okay, yeah. At least for SC. LDU will get better as North gets better. Less pressure off him and needs to carry Freddie's.
Yeah, if we're talking in football terms, Luke Davies-Uniacke has been fine. But if we're talking in SuperCoach terms, he's been a little bit lackluster for people who started him.
Yep. Jack Martin's done his calf. I don't
Yep.
know if that's true. I'm going to need to see if Geelong Post.
To be fair, Geelong might name him and then make him a laid out. So I don't think we'll know for sure until game day.
Yeah. Very unfortunate about Zach Reid as well.
Yeah.
Bont/Darcy into Holmes for me. Yeah, that's going to be fairly popular. And that is a good way to move into some captain and vice captain options. Now, as we head into non-buys again, and we've got limited trades, it is more important than ever to ideally nail those 120 pluses each week. So, got an array of options now. Who are we thinking?
Every time I've put the VC on Bont, he has done terribly. So I want to gift the rest of the Supercoach community by not putting anything on him. I'm going to put the VC on Nick Dacos against Carlton.
Yep. Yeah, I think, I'm vice captaining Bont into Holmes this week.
Holmes is my captain as well.
If you don't have Bont, but you got Ed Richards, I think Ed Richards is just as strong of an option.
If you don't have either of those guys, but you have Cherry, I don't mind Cherry against English.
Yep, I really like that as well because it's Tristan Cherry, and I think English is more restrictive than what he was in previous years, but there's still some inconsistencies there. Carlton, Collingwood. Sorry.
Other options that come to mind. I like the Gold Coast mids against Essendon, and I like the Essendon mids against Gold Coast. Any of the Geelong players, Stewart, Smith, Holmes, any of those guys. Stewart's probably more of a VC than a C option. I like the Port Adelaide guys against Brisbane, but I really only like maybe Dunkley against Port Adelaide, or and then St Kilda Hawthorn is tough, so I'll probably leave that one. Sydney Fremantle also tough. I don't know who James Jordan will go to, which like Clark, Sarong, Brayshaw. I'm not sure. You can't really back in anyone without knowing. Adelaide against Melbourne, Jordan Dawson is probably a really good late swing if you need to use the last game of the round.
Yeah. Yeah, there really isn't much after the Geelong-Richmond game, so I think most people will be in the situations to use their V, C, and C pretty early into the round. Just keep in mind, if you just keep in mind as well, there are 2 Friday night games, so don't be VCing a Collingwood player into a Giants player. So just keep that in mind. There's an hour differential between the two.
Also keep that in mind for your loops.
Yep.
With people having a completed on-field team and people also having bench cover, just make sure that where you're using your loops, there is no one actually playing.
Yep. Yeah. So there'll be people with Connor Stone out there that won't be much use unless you're using your VC tonight.
If you still have Cooper Simpson, Cooper Simpson's a really good loop this week.
Yep, he is. Or Jack Henderson as well, if anyone's held on to him. People say SuperCoach goes for a long the SuperCoach season goes quick. Feels like yonks since I've had Jack Henderson. I forgot he existed.
I forgot he was a rookie this season, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be such a good rookie and then averaged 34.
Yeah. And we've got 2 more months of this. Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind with a couple of things. The AFL fixture keeps throwing in some quirks. Dacos is a good little VC against Carlton. I think I prefer him as a VC than a C, just in case Chincotta goes with him the whole game. Chincotta, but he usually tags halfbacks, but I think it's Nick Dacos there. Tom Green I quite like against the Eagles. He's always a really safe fullback guy. So guys like Jai Caldwell's a bit of a pod vice captain or captain there, but I do think the Geelong duo of Smith and Holmes are the best options this week.
Almost ready to wrap up, but there's a few more questions in the
Yep.
chat.
Send in any final questions as we will wrap up very shortly. Big J, Roos will get smashed by 80 this week. Pick someone from there. Yeah, they've just gotten hammered from injuries from last week, North Melbourne. So very unlucky. I suspect Zane Dersma will be sub tonight. Maybe Will Phillips.
Hard to tell.
Hard to tell. A lot of players' names we haven't seen in a little while. Lachlan Hurley, hope you're doing well, mate. I was thinking VC Cherry into C Holmes. Is Cherry a bad shout this week? No. No, he's a very good VC this week.
Cherry's last 3 against the Bulldogs, 122, 141, and 141. So pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Cherry should bounce back this week. I have Bont, but have low confidence. That's pretty fair to suggest. Can't ignore that 63 in a non-tagging game. But, well, I do think anyway that I think Cherry's a better VC than Bont, in my opinion. But I think they're both pretty similar.
I like Bont, I like Cherry, I like Richards, I even like Dale a little bit. So, yeah.
Yep. Big J, so this is for you, Damo. Does Cooper Simpson come back?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? They could have put him on the long-term injury list and taken a mid-season draft pick, but didn't. They told him that it was a show of faith that he'd come back later in the season. So I'm assuming they're planning on bringing him back at some point. I just don't know who goes out for him. So due back around 21 against Carlton if he does return.
Yeah. Will you guys play AFLW Fantasy?
I played it last year, lost interest very quickly because I just haven't learned the players' names, and the games are on at such weird times. I just don't watch a lot of the AFLW, so yeah, maybe not.
I'm in a similar boat where I just, by the time the men's season finishes, I'm just a bit footied out and change my priorities to NBL SuperCoach. Over the past year or so, I have been dropping, doing certain fantasy games because of I'd rather do ones that I'm like fully invested in. So so I can have my main focus on that. So like during winter, it's AFL SuperCoach, didn't do it in NRL SuperCoach or anything. And then in the summer, it's FPL, Fantasy Premier League, and the NBL SuperCoach. So I'll be prioritizing that when the season's done. So I don't watch enough of the AFLW to do well.
I'm pretty much footy in the winter, NFL, fantasy in the summer, and then I used to do BBL, but I'm not doing BBL anymore. That format's cracked.
Yeah, I only do Big Bash SuperCoach if my mates want to do it, and I'll do it for a mates league, bragging rights. I reckon Cooper Harvey sub. Yeah, I forgot that Cooper Harvey came in. Yeah, it's probably him. Nice little story though. Like he's part of the Centurion game. Boomer Harvey's son. Dersma has been kicking lots in the VFL, so I assume they'll play him to start the game. Yeah, that sounds about right. Probably be Cooper Harvey. All right, one injury trade and pray. Would rather go down with Gawn, some depth, and a functional bench that's than sit on my hands so I can score 80 instead of a 60 in round 24. Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah, Gawn has got a really nice run for the last 5-6 weeks of the season. So if you can find a way to get him in, I'd be doing that. He should be able to get to an attainable price by the time round 19 hits. Yeah, I don't know whether this is true. I'd rather just wait for Geelong to confirm. I think that was a bit of chat GPT in the content creators group chat. We'll wrap it up there, guys. Damo, it's always a pleasure.
It's good to be here, Steve.
Thank you all so much for tuning in and your questions. Really do love and appreciate everyone. Make sure you follow Damo on Twitter and the Footy Mailbag. Keep your eye out on that. I am in it this week. And yeah, we'll see you in the next live stream. Have a good weekend, guys. Catch you up.